What up? The 5 keys to a perfect credit score. 5 keys to a perfect credit score. Hello, you got Cinco Smith, creator and founder of 5 a.m., which is Cinco affirmation music or affirmation material. And I'm currently rocking some affirmation material as we speak. This is the I am what I am version, which basically means that you affirm what you are. Don't let anybody else fill in your blank. So I am what I am is in you embracing the imperfections and letting it be known that, look, I embrace who I am. I know who I am and I embrace it. And you can't sway me to not believe in me. So that's what affirmation material is all about. You affirming through you. So we do that through apparel and music and lyrics and things of that nature. But enough of that. Let's talk about these 5 keys that it takes in order to have perfect credit. I don't want this video to be too long because I don't have a whole lot of time and I want you to get some value, because too many times people focus on the wrong things as it relates to their credit. And this is why this is important. And I like to speak specifically to the artists out there, rappers, and people who a lot of times may not be focused on the asset aspect of building a legacy. We may only focus solely on the music. And what I mean is, if you only focus on the music, if things don't go as planned and you wasn't putting any other pillars in place, then you might find yourself in a situation that you didn't prefer to be in. So it's important for us to understand money. And in this video, I want to focus solely on credit. I want to just give you 5 keys as it relates to better credit. Because if you understand credit, now you can take that knowledge or the good credit score that you accumulate and own a studio, own a record label, own some of the technology that goes into the industry as a whole versus just being an artist. So I want you to understand that. And I know that credit can allow you to do certain things. So I want to give it to you the best way I know how, by focusing on the 5 keys without being too long-winded. So that being said, because I've spoken enough, this is Cinco Smith, and let's talk about those 5 keys as it relates to having perfect credit. 750 plus credit as it relates to the credit scale. It goes up to 850, but if you got anything over 700, it's considered good. 750 plus is considered perfect. And I understand how it feels to have those. I've been able to accumulate 2 scores that were over 800, one that was like a 790, and even after purchasing a home, a large purchase, I still have well over 700 credit score. So I want to position you to do the same thing. So key number 1 is payment history. What is payment history? This is basically the history of your payments. How well have you been making payments? Have they been on time? Have they went in a default? How long has this payment history been in place? Has it been a month? Has it been a year? Has it been 5 years? The longer the payment history that has good activity, the better. So if you've been paying on time, that's great. If you've defaulted, then that may affect you some, but as long as you're good outweigh your bad, then you're in good shape. Too many times people focus on payment history when they're restoring their credit by deleting all of the payment history. Well, you don't want to delete everything. It's just a matter of you understanding what's affecting your credit negatively and deleting those things. And I teach people how to do it, but this video is more about making you aware of what payment history is. And it's important because payment history equates to 35% of what affects your credit score. That's more than a third of what affects your credit score. So it is important, and it is important for you to take full advantage of making sure your payment history is good. Now, at one point it was only about the loans, the credit cards, the auto loans, the mortgages, but there are some things that have been put in place that can allow you to use your payment history from rent, from your phone bill, from utilities. That's important because now you can be in a position to use all of the things that you're going to pay consistently anyway, because people don't want to go without their cell phone or paying rent. Now you can use that to boost your credit score once you understand it. Key number 2, credit utilization. What is credit utilization? Everything is exactly what it sounds like. Your ability to utilize credit. Utilize means use. How well are you using your credit? So you have to be using it for 1. For 2, are you overusing it, or are you using it at the right percentage that they prefer? So here's a quick example. I don't want to get too long-winded, but $5,000 on a credit card. Say that's your limit. Say you have a credit card and the limit is $5,000. If you have $4,000 spent on that credit card, let's say you use that $4,000, you bought some equipment, you bought some studio time, whatever you did with that, or their credit card, $4,000 have been spent. That's 80% of your utilization. That does not look good to the credit bureaus. However, if you can pay that credit card down and get it to where it's $1,000 left on that credit card, now that's 20% utilization. That looks great. That boosts your credit score drastically, automatically, just by you tapping into understanding the credit utilization. Now, another way to get credit utilization intact outside of paying it down is getting a credit limit increase. So if you have good standards with your bank, decent credit, sometimes they'll allow you to increase the credit limit. So now if you can go from a $5,000 credit limit and you say, hey, just looking at my, my standings with you guys, I feel like we have a good relationship. Is there a way that I can get a credit limit increase? And they increase it to $10,000. Even if you still had $4,000 spent on that credit card, it just took your utilization from 80% to 40%. So it literally cut it in half just by you getting a credit limit increase. This equates to 30% of your credit score. That's why it's important, 30%. So if you take the first one, which is payment history plus this, that's 65% total. So you want to focus on these two areas. Number 3, credit history. Credit history is exactly what it sounds like, the history of your credit. How long have you been making payments or borrowing money? How long has your credit been being established? The longer the better. Most of the time, people who are older have a better credit history just because they've had more time to accumulate more debt and spend and pay things off. However, it's a couple of ways to get your credit history intact. One is becoming an authorized user on someone else's account. Even if you're not using their card and they add you as an authorized user to their credit card, if you trust them and you know that they're going to keep their finances and credit intact, then you can piggyback off of their good credit history, and it helps you and affects your credit in a positive way. Some parents do this for their children, so their children get a head start as it relates to their credit history. So understand that you can benefit from that. That's key number 3. Key number 4 is new credit. Sometimes you may look at your credit and you just don't have enough stuff on there. You might only have a car note. You might only have a credit card. You might only have a department store. That's not enough in order to have perfect credit, 750 plus credit. They need to know that you have a couple of things already in place that have show or prove that you are credible when it comes to your credit. You are doing the things in the right fashion to allow them to want to even loan you money. So you might have to apply for new credit. You might have to get a secured credit card. You might have to get some financing on, some furniture or some equipment or certain things. But make sure it's reflecting on your credit, and you have to get these things in order to make sure you have a mixture, which leads to key number 5, credit mixture. You want to have a combination of things on your credit. They say don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's true as it relates to making money. You don't want to have one income stream. That's true as it relates to investing money. You don't want to only invest in one thing. You want to make sure you diversify your efforts. I understand putting all money in as it relates to your faith on certain things, but mixing it up is key, and that's applicable to credit as well. They don't want you to just have one form of credit. They want you to have a mixture of things. And if you follow these keys that I've given you, then you'll be in position to have a mixture by default. So I don't want this video to stretch out too far, but if you want to know how I've been able to implement these keys and have great credit, and how I'm teaching other people all across the nation how they can do the same, then click the available link. If you don't see a link for whatever reason, depending on where you're watching this video from, then do yourself a favor and reach out and say, hey, how can I implement or apply these keys because I want my credit score up for these reasons? That's what you got to understand. Reach out. I'm only a call, a text, a comment away, but a link should be available. And if so, click it and it should give you, or it should open up to how you can take advantage of the keys that I just laid out. Take action, because if you don't take action, then you don't see any positive transaction or positive progression as it relates to your situation. So that's all I got. Once again, you got Cinco Smith. And while you're at it, go ahead and grab you some affirmation material. I have, other words of affirmation that are on the way and things that are already in place. But this is the I am what I am. Make sure you don't let anybody else fill in your blank. That's up for you to decide. That's all I got. Cinco Smith signing out. Salute.